Hey there, Julia here. Today we are looking up close and talking about 10 more custom grinds I wanted to share with you. It's been a while, it's been a little bit since the last one of these type of custom nib grind specific talks. So I have my trusty magnifier back in action and we're just gonna talk through these. Most are ground on Yovo nibs, so I'm gonna be swapping them in and out of this beautiful teal shimmer pen from Artisan Ink. There are a few that are already inked up or just permanently attached to another pen, so it's gonna be a little bit of a mixed bag, but most of them will be in this pen, and then I will be dipping those pens that aren't already inked with Pilot Blue. So the first one that I have ready to go here is called the Speerpoint nib, and I got this ground by Kirk Speer. It is one of his nibs given the name here. So this nib is an extra fine or needlepoint, which we'll talk about a little later, on the writing side of the nib, and then on the reverse side you get a medium or broad depending on your preference. So I really like this one because it's kind of two pens in one. You can have your extra fine writing for longer journaling sessions, but also have that reverse side for headlines or subheadlines or things that you want to emphasize. So I think that's really fun. So this is on the writing side, and I would say that my writing side is an extra fine. Maybe even a fine. Because I did start this off with a broad, and then the reverse side is writing like a broad to me. I like to show this example, so like if I'm in my planner or something, I can say Monday tasks, writing with the reverse side, and then on the writing side have my to-dos. Maybe write a little note about the day. And then if I have something important, I can notate that here and it stands out a little more. All with one pen, so I really like that, especially for travel as well. And let's say that you don't want to carry a bunch of pens with you, so the Speerpoint. Okay, the next nib that I've installed in our pen here is the Architect Grind. And I got this Architect from Annabelle with Opus Cineris. Love this grind. She does such an amazing Architect grind, and you even take part in it, which is super fun. So with the Architect grind, your downstrokes are narrower and then your cross strokes are more broad. This grind is really great if you write in all caps or you do block lettering. I've even been liking it more recently just for everyday writing. I was a little bit scared of this grind at first for some reason, but it's a really great grind to add a unique flair to your writing. Okay, the next grind that I have to share is the Tanto Grind, and this one is done by Kirk Speer with Pen Realm, and he actually has two Naginata Togi style grinds, which is a Japanese style grind, where you have line variation based on the angle that you're writing with. And so this first version, called the Tanto, it is more of that traditional style grind. Oh yeah, and I have this one installed in the Leonardo Momento Magico in the Amethyst colorway. And as far as I know, I cannot get the nib out of here, which is totally fine because I have another one of these models with a just regular medium nib, and so I thought it'd be fun to do something different with this one. It did start off as a medium nib. So what I'm going to try to do here is show you the different angles going down. A little hard to tell here, but the lines do get thicker as I change my angle. Did a little bit of a better job here. Next up is the second version of Kirk Speer's Naginata Togi Grind, and this is called the Katana, which I have installed right now in an Esterbrook niblet. And so the difference between the Katana Grind and the Tanto Grind, according to the Pen Realm website, is that the Katana Grind has less line variation on the downstroke. And so there should be a bit more contrast when looking at the downstroke versus the cross stroke. Similar to the Architect Grind, so we'll see that it's similar to the Architect Grind, but with some angle variation as well. And this one started out as a medium nib. So we'll see less variation going from a higher angle on the downstroke. Yeah. Less variation than here. I'm just changing my angles. Yeah, and about the same as the Tanto here, but as I said, less variation on the downstroke. So I just want to write it in all caps. Yeah, it has a similar feel to the Architect, but I would say a little more friendly. Where the Architect may be a little slicey for some, the Katana feel like you get that same effect, but this feels a little more approachable maybe. But yeah, I love this Katana Grind. Okay, the next grind is kind of 2-in-1. And so this looks crazy. It looks like I dropped this pen, I know, but this is a Beak Point grind, and I got this from Matthew Chin. And yeah, it's just a really wacky looking nib, but you get two very distinct writing styles with this pen. So on the writing side, you get a nice fine line, so great for everyday writing. And then the reverse side is our sixth custom nib grind, which is a fude nib. And a fude nib is just an upturned nib like that. Fun fact, fude in Japanese translates to writing brush. But on this fude side, you get these thick brush-light strokes, and then of course beak point, because it kind of looks like a beak. So we have 5 and 6. We have the beak point. For the fude. So this is the writing side. Just the smoothest, normal, fine nib. And then on this reverse side, you get a very thick and expressive fude, which is a super fun way to show off ink properties. I can't even do like the figure eights as small as I usually do it because it's so bold. But yeah, a super fun way to show off ink properties, a great way, similar to the Speerpoint here, to call out certain things. So those strokes are so like brush-like. So again, just having that variety in one pen and one nib is A+ in my book. It's funny with the beak point in my nib organization system, like I have these little color codes for the different grinds, but for the beak point I feel like I don't need one because it's so distinct, the shape, like I can pick this out instantly. So just a funny little something there. The next grind I want to show you is the Scythe Grind, and this one is by Kirk Spear at Pen Realm, and it's described as a curved architect. It obviously is not as curved as the Beak Point. So with this nib grind, you do get line variation where you don't get as much angle-wise with the architect. So with this one, you get the architect narrower downstrokes, thicker cross strokes, but you also get the line variation as well. This may be a little more approachable, again, if you think the architect is a little scary like I did, but you still get a similar effect. And this one is a little thinner. Maybe this is like a mini scythe because I started it with a fine nib. I love the way this writes. It's a little bit slicey, just a little bit. So we should get Very subtle because it is a fine nib, but you can see we have some variation here. And there as well. The next grind that I want to share is a Cursive Italic. I covered the Cursive Smooth Italic in our last custom grind video, but I wanted to try it without the smooth. So Matthew Chin did this for me on the Coffee Monsters Co. Estabrook SD collaboration. And the Cursive Italic is very similar to the Cursive Smooth Italic, of course, but this one definitely has more of a slice to it. The grind itself is similar to a stub, but slightly rounded, and again has a little bit of slice to it. With these types of grinds, a stub nib, these cursive grinds, you want to maintain your writing angle so that you're coming at the paper with that squared off nib being flat against the paper. So you don't want to kind of rotate like this or move around. You want to stay kind of, I guess that's what, perpendicular. Oh, this is great. And so you have thicker downstrokes, thinner cross strokes. You can definitely see that nice contrast here. Gorgeous. And this one started off as a medium nib, if you're curious. Okay, next up is the Needlepoint Grind. I got mine done by Kirk Spear at Pen Realm, but a lot of nib grinders offer the Needlepoint Grind. And from what I hear, this is one of the hardest ones to get right and to get smooth, because with this, you are going beyond an extra fine here. You're going to kind of that ultra extra fine realm. Kirk's is about 0.25 millimeters, so it's pretty thin. And he does his needlepoint, I think, for Estabrook's custom nib grind program. So his is just A+ when it comes to achieving like a smooth writing experience. So highly recommend. It's good to start these needlepoint grinds on extra fine, maybe fine, but since you're taking away material and going finer, you definitely want to start with a finer nib, where a lot of these started off as medium or broad nibs. I think the needlepoint grind is great if you have smaller handwriting, if you're using planners or notebooks with a tighter grid space or dot grid space, just getting into those smaller areas. Gorgeous. This next grind, I'm actually surprised that it wasn't featured in the last custom nib video, and I don't know, maybe it was. I watched it again just so I didn't repeat grinds, but I don't remember seeing this one, which is weird. This is the Journaler grind by Gina Salarino, and this one is a very popular one, and I think it's a great first custom nib grind as well. It is similar to our Cursive Smooth Italic in that it's kind of like a rounded stub nib. You still get the thick downstrokes and the thin cross strokes, but it is a little more rounded. It is a little more beginner friendly as far as custom nib grinds go, and it is very subtle as far as adding a little flair to your writing. Similar to the stub nib or Cursive Italic grinds, you want to maintain that perpendicular angle. However, with the Journaler, I feel like it's a little more forgiving to kind of move around angle-wise, which also is what makes it a really great first nib grind. See, we do have some variation here with the downstrokes and the cross strokes, but it is so much subtler, like there's not as much contrast when compared to like the Cursive Italic. And if you're curious, I have the Journaler nib right now on the Esterbrook SD and Ferris Wheel Press collaboration, Nebulous Plume. I do believe that this is very hard to find these days, and I think they're being price gouged on the secondhand market. So very lucky to have this. It is a beautiful pen. So those are 10 more custom nib grinds that I've added to my collection and that I hope answers some questions for you if you're in the market for custom nib grinds. I do recommend getting custom nib grinds in person if possible, just because you get that instant feedback. You can give instant feedback and try everything in person. And though I understand that is not accessible to all, that is probably the most effective way and quickest way to get a nib grind. But let me know if you have any questions about that in the comments. Also, let me know what nib grinds you enjoy, and if you have any more information you want to share about any of these grinds. I love them. I love them so much. I've said it a couple of times, but I feel like I'm collecting these like they're Pokemon. But when you have especially like all of these Yovo nibs, like why not? They swap in and out. So I feel like I'm not ruining any pins by getting nib grinds. I don't know. It is something I really, really enjoy. But definitely like this video if you got some value out of it. Consider subscribing to the channel if you love fountain pens, inks, planning, and journaling. Thank you so much for watching this one. And if you need more custom nib grinds in your life, I will leave the first set of custom nib grinds that we looked at up close here. And then if you're curious about these little color strips and how I just keep all of these nib grinds straight and organized, I will leave my nib organization video for you here to check out. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I'll catch you all in the next one.